This video is about the self-winding clock company serial numbers. What do they reveal? Each of these self-winding clock company clocks has a style F movement. Can the clocks be dated by the movement serial numbers? All self-winding clock company movements have serial numbers stamped on the front plate. The serial numbers must have been stamped when the movements were assembled. The numbers are in ascending order and seem to have started in the teens. Rotary movement serial numbers went from 2 digits through the 32,000s. Style F movement serial numbers start in the 33,000s and eventually reached into the low 400,000s. In this video, I'm going to discuss F movement serial numbers. Does the serial number reveal how old the clock is? The answer is maybe. We know the lowest serial numbered movements are the oldest, but we don't have a list of dates the movements were made. All company records have been lost. Old company publications can be used to establish a relationship between movement serial numbers and dates of manufacturing. From the 1908 Self-Winding Clock Company catalog, we can conclude that movements numbered 63132 and below were made in 1908 or before. Other self-winding publications reveal that movements with serial numbers 112956 and below were manufactured in or before 1917, and serial numbers 196, 21, and below were made in 1929 or before. Let's look at these 4 self-winding clock company clocks and see if the movement serial number reveals the age of the clock. This is a Model 25 Western Union rental clock, and it's circa mid to late 1930s. The movement serial number is 46858, and it was made in the early 1900s. The property of self-winding clock company tag on the front plate indicates this early movement was refurbished by the factory to be used as a rental clock movement. The property of the self-winding clock company ID tag matches the serial number of the movement. These ID tags can be a puzzle, often missing or not matching the movement serial number. They were supposed to be kept with the movement and changed when a movement was replaced. Commonly, this did not happen. Okay, so what we have here is a late clock with a much older factory reconditioned movement. So here the conclusion has to be the movement serial number does not date this clock. There were thousands of these metal-cased Western Union rental clocks around the country. They appeared in the mid-1930s and disappeared in the 1950s and 60s. The movements were often exchanged when the movement was in for service, so the serial numbers seen in these clocks run from super low to super high, and they certainly don't reveal the age of any of the particular clocks. This is an 1890s Model 11 clock. The clock originally had a rotary movement serial number 11531. We know the serial number because the original serial number is stamped on the bottom of the case. It now has an F movement serial number 78893. The F movement was made sometime after 1908, before 1917. Here we have an old clock with a newer movement. So the conclusion here has to be the movement serial number does not date the clock. It's not uncommon to find clocks that originally had rotary movements to be replaced with F movements. This Western Union rental clock looks to be all original. The movement serial number is 108557. From the serial number, we know the movement was made before 1917. The clock has the original zinc serial number ID tag that matches the movement serial number. There are paper instruction sheets tacked inside the case that is dated 5/16. There's no indication of any modifications or missing parts, and all the wiring looks to be original. So here, does the movement serial number correctly date the clock? And I would say yes. The conclusion here would be this clock was made circa 1916. My feeling is serial numbers are pretty reliable to date clocks made through the 1920s. By the 30s and after, the numbers often don't match the age of the clocks. This is a self-winding clock company master clock made for the military in 1960. The movement number is 169617, so it's probably from the mid-20s. In 1960, self-winding clock company was not manufacturing new movements. They had to be using old stock or reconditioning old movements and installing them in new clocks. So here again we conclude the serial number does not help date the clock. We have looked at 4 different clocks and found 2 with movements older than the clock, 1 with a movement newer than the clock, and just 1 with a movement that could be used to date the clock. Serial numbers are fun to look at and fun to speculate about what they reveal. But does the movement serial number automatically reveal to you how old the clock is? Well, with these examples and countless others I've seen, it is clear that in many instances a serial number of an F movement does not reveal how old a self-winding clock company is. The only thing we can say for certain is the serial number does reveal about when the movement was originally made. Thank you for watching. Please click the thumbs up if this was helpful, and click the subscribe if you wish to be notified of additional YouTube videos.